Hello, I'm Carolyn, and I'm here to talk about deaf culture. I grew up deaf, and both of my parents are hearing. Many hearing parents don't know ASL. Only a few hearing parents of deaf children learn how to sign. So before I became deaf, my parents didn't know sign language either. Some people will meet a deaf person and learn deaf culture and the language, but most hearing parents have the same experience as the doctor that they learn that their child is deaf from. They don't know anything about deaf people. So I want to talk about two things. First, when deaf is spelled with a capital D, that means the person is proud of being deaf. If someone spells it with a little d, they normally mean that they're not part of the deaf culture. They are just medically deaf. Maybe they have tried to fix their hearing with a cochlear implant or hearing aids. Someone wants to help their deaf child to not be deaf anymore. Hearing parents tend to sit down with the doctor and they'll ask questions. The doctor will say, "Do you want your child to have a cochlear implant?" to help them be able to hear. And it really depends on their answer where they go from there. If they say yes, then the child will have to go to speech therapy every day. They'll do hours of speech therapy, even in school, not just when they're at home. If the parents say no, they don't want their child to have a cochlear implant, then that means the hearing parents will learn sign language and deaf culture. And then they'll be able to communicate with their deaf child. That is what happened to me. I'm lucky because my parents decided to learn sign language and deaf culture. Some parents don't. They prefer that their child communicates in their way of speaking. When you want to learn sign language, the best way to do that is not just to learn in the classroom, but also to meet deaf people. You will need to improve your ability to read sign language and to sign it. Both of those things are very important, and the best way to do that is to practice with deaf people. That's because it's their native language. Deaf people have grown up signing, and they're fluent in the language. And that is very important whenever hearing parents are trying to learn the language and trying to improve their skills. When you're trying to catch what someone is signing, it's important to practice that with a deaf instructor. You can always ask them to sign again or to sign slower. A lot of times deaf people are very patient and willing to do that. Also, if you sign something wrong, then they're able to let you know and help you correct your mistakes. I want to back up a little bit. Whenever you meet a deaf person, people will tend to tap on the shoulder to get someone's attention. You can also wave if the person is far away to get their attention. But a lot of times they'll miss it. The easiest thing to do is to tap someone on their shoulder politely. Deaf people are very good at providing resources for the deaf community, deaf events, teaching you about deaf culture and giving you all the information that you need. ASL also has its own grammar and syntax. Facial expressions are included in grammar. You move your eyebrows to explain what you're talking about. The whole language is very visual, of course. There's many different parts of the language. So it's not only that, but also ASL grammar is in a different order. You also leave off the endings of many words such as ing, ed. That's not included in ASL as it is in English. So those grammatical differences between ASL and English mean that learning English is like a second language, so many deaf people struggle with things like reading and writing. It really depends on the type of education that we get. It depends on how early we were able to go to school, or if we were older whenever we went to a residential school for the deaf. Most deaf people tend to be mainstreamed in hearing schools, but it really depends on the education. A lot of hearing teachers don't know how to communicate with deaf students the appropriate way, and they really struggle to find a different way to explain things to us. So that's the reason that I still struggle with reading and writing. At my work, I work with a lot of hearing people. Very common. I'll get lucky occasionally and a deaf person will come through, but mostly I work with hearing people. I'm able to do that through text, typing on the computer, sending an email, or occasionally, if I'm lucky, before or after a meeting, I can have an interpreter sit down with me and my boss so we can chat. So that's how we do that. Then, anytime I need to go to the hospital, they will have a live interpreter there. A live interpreter is the best option when in the hospital because they can give spatial explanations that help a deaf person better understand what is going to happen. Also, deaf people tend to have different signing styles. Some people sign slow and others sign really, really fast. So it's better to have a person in the room to be able to communicate. The other option is a VRI, or video relay interpreter. They're on a computer screen. They tend to be used by hospitals in emergencies or last-minute events whenever a live interpreter can't show up. Normally, to reserve an interpreter's time, you need to book them 2 weeks in advance. So that's the reason that a video relay interpreter could be used for a last-minute or emergency situation. But they can't show the space. They can't show you where something is on your body, and it makes it very difficult to understand what they're signing. So this really doesn't meet the needs of deaf people. And sometimes, well, I'd say most of the time, the interpreters on the VRI have a hard time understanding what the deaf person is signing. And again, that depends on their signing style and how much of the message the interpreter is able to piece together. But that's the reason that VRIs aren't really the best idea. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a lot about deaf culture.